when you look back on the time that you were part of the UKIP party, do you regret being part of it?
No, I don't regret it. I don't regret it, and I would do it again. It was a megaphone for me to get more free speech activism out there, and it's just one way to draw people's attention is controversy.
For everybody watching, can you just tell everyone who you are, what your YouTube channel is about, where you're from?
I'm PewDiePie. I play video games and scream at the camera. My fans are all 9 years old. I haven't had an original idea in 6 years. I'm joking. I'm Count Dankula. I host a YouTube series called Absolute Mad Lads, where I talk about insane people from history. And I got arrested over a joke once, but you know who gives a shit about that? So
yeah, apparently so. So what start off like? What do you prefer to go by? I've heard people call you Dank, and I'm not calling you Dank because we're adults.
Dank seems to be the most common one, but like Markus. My name's Markus.
Right. Yeah, cool. Right, well, we'll go with Markus. So how has the past year for Markus been? What have you been getting up to?
Working, just working. Like, I thought I would be all right, you know, with all this coronavirus bullshit. Like, oh, I'll work from home anyway. I'll be completely fine. But then when you've not seen your friends in like a year, it just grinds on you a little bit. But like, wife's pregnant, so we've had all that to deal with, like with the IVF and everything. So that was a lot of fun. I was supposed to be going on tour last year. I had a bunch of live events and all of that just went right down the shitter. So yeah, it's been boring in some ways, exciting in others.
Yeah, man. I mean, it happens, right? I mean, we're all in the same boat. So I want to know a little bit more about you that people don't usually know about. We know you for your YouTube series. We know you for the infamous video. But I wanna know, do you have any obsessions? Are you like crazy into gardening? Are you huge into a certain type of music? I want to know something about you.
Magic the Gathering. That's actually my display case there with all my most expensive cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look the type, I know. But I play that game all the time. Like, I still play it online with friends. You know, I used to go twice a week to play it with all my friends, but I still play it all the time. That's something I'm a little bit obsessed with and complaining about a lot.
How many cards do you reckon you've got in total?
Tens of thousands. It's not even an exaggeration.
That's a fair amount.
Yeah.
Right. So I told my friends that I was interviewing you, and out of all the interviews I've done, everyone seems the most excited that I'm interviewing you. So I had some questions from them. One of the questions from one of my friends, he wants to know, obviously you're sort of known for the Mad Lad series, but is there any plans to create any different kind of content in the future? That's from my friend Scott. That's the question.
There is. Basically, I wanted to upload like some of my stand-up stuff to YouTube, but there was also the comedy skits. But the problem is, you know, with coronavirus, can't really film or anything like that. I have tons of stuff written. I've got tons of like comedy, like skits and stuff like that written. There was also an idea that we were going to do like maybe like a full sort of comedy show, but the only problem is like I can't just film it on my own. I need my friends and everybody to be in it. We need to do like proper skits and props and stuff like that. And we were going to make it like maybe like a once a year like sort of thing. But we were supposed to be doing it this year, but we were supposed to be doing like the Northern 500, you know, where you travel to the 500, you know, the sites in the north of Scotland and stuff like that. We were supposed to be doing that too. So basically, yeah, I've got other content written. I've got loads of stuff planned out. It's just, you know, when it's legal for us to do it.
Yeah, so the Mad Lad stuff is your bread and butter until then.
Yeah, it used to be political content all the time, but that was just making me depressed. Like, honestly,
that's what I was going to ask about. It's really different from your original content, and your original content didn't seem to like you didn't have like one series. How come you decided to start that particular series and sort of do like deep dives into people?
I've always like enjoyed like interesting stuff that just I find it, and like say for example, you know, the subreddit Today I Learned. Like whenever I'm eating dinner, I sit and read that subreddit just because you find curious and interesting things on there. And like I like information like that, and see, because it's something I enjoy, and I enjoy finding out about people. Like one of the things that I love is when you hear like the basic story about like a mad lad, just some crazy person you've heard of, but then you go into the research of it, and then you read something, and you're like, he did what? Like that. I enjoy moments like that, and it's the type of content that I enjoy, because researching it and writing it and filming it and everything, and like basically giving other people like that same experience. Like that's why I like doing premieres on YouTube, where the video streams live and there's an audience and people can type in the chat. I love looking at the chat and seeing everybody's reaction when I say some absolutely insane stuff like about a particular like person from history, and I love seeing everyone's reaction to it. And it was just I moved on to that for the political content. It was sort of like half by accident and half because I wanted to. Like I just decided out of the blue to do a video on a German lol cow called Dragon Lord. Like basically, I won't go into the story of him, but I did it. Everybody found it interesting. They enjoyed the video, and they were like, "You should do more videos like this." And so I sort of went, I could do videos on crazy and interesting people. So yeah, sure. And I was also looking to get out of political content purely because it was just me constantly delivering bad news. I was just basically going, here's why free speech is fucked in this country this week. This person just got arrested for a tweet. Oh, this university just kicked out this guy. And it was just, I was sick of being so angry all the time. Like that. It was just a completely blackpilling experience, because it's sad to say that a lot of these institutions honestly do not give the tiniest shit about freedom of speech. They see it as a threat to their ideology, so they want to get rid of it. And talking about that all the time just mentally like wasn't good for me. So then I moved on to a type of content that everybody actually enjoys. It's not just a right wing, left wing thing. Like everybody enjoys the content, and I actually enjoy making it. So it was a great decision. It was a great decision. I don't regret it at all.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll get into some political stuff towards the end. But
yeah, no worries.
So have you always been interested in history, or is it just a case that you find mental people interesting?
It's not even just history or just mental people. It's just like anything that's interesting. It could be about space, science, chemistry, biology, just things that are like fascinating. Like one of the things that I found out is like, just to give you an example, like, you know, your immune system. Everybody thinks your immune system is just your white blood cells. It's not. It's actually a few hundred different types of cells, and it turns out that one of these cells basically acts like an SD card. And it's like, this is the same thing that like vaccines and stuff are based off of. So say, for example, if you get a certain flu virus and your body manages to successfully fight it off, this cell remembers how I'm sort of like personifying these things a little bit here, but this little cell remembers how you defeated it, like the tactics or whatever like they used to get rid of this virus. So they're like, right, we know how to fight it again if it ever comes back. So because that information's stored in these cells, that virus won't have the same, it might not even be able to successfully infect you at all. And I also found out that the reason that getting measles as an adult is so dangerous is because measles wipes the memory of that little cell, so your body forgets to fight all these different viruses. So something like that stuff like that blows my mind. Like I love stuff like that I find that interesting as hell. So it's not
into like really oddly specific facts and stuff, and
like,
strange things that nobody else thinks about.
Yeah,
I'm sure some people think about that, but
yeah, I love stuff like that, and that's why, because I'm now making content that like kind of does that. Like, you know, I want to. I'm the I'm the slightly racist Vsauce.
Yeah, you're like the sweary like Scottish teacher that everyone had at school in biology.
Yeah, I knew what I was talking about, but I was insufferable.
So within the past day, you just argued with Seth Rogan in the DMs.
Yeah, I did,
That was
yeah.
interesting. Can you go into that a little bit?
It was basically he turned around and said something like, you know, that the Capitol was a fascist takeover. It wasn't a fascist takeover. It wasn't. Like, there was fascists there, right? And there were some people that thought, yeah, we're going to overthrow the government. I know that, right? But there were a small portion of the people there, right? Loads of different people had many different reasons for why they did what they did. Like, for example, the guy that shit in a desk, like, I don't think he was like, yeah, I'm going to overthrow the country, just as he was like dropping his trousers to like shit in a desk. And some people were in there and smashing shit up just because they were like, fuck the government, like that, and that was the reason why they were doing it. There was so many different reasons why people did what they did at the Capitol, but they turned around and says, no, it's fascist. It was a fascist uprising. It was a fascist takeover, and it's just they're saying that just because it suits. I mean, like, say for example, like BLM and Antifa and like the riots that happened over the last year. Like, if I was to go by their logic, I could just call all of that the communist riots. For the last year, we've seen a communist uprising all across America and all that. But I wouldn't do that because it's not fair to do that, because everyone that did that and the reasons they did do those things were based on a wide range of beliefs. So it's not fair to do that. But people are just calling the Capitol a fascist one just because, you know, it gets everybody nice and scared to fight against the big, bad, scary right wing.
Well, I mean, they all destroyed government buildings, right? Which side you're on, either way. So
just turns out that the guys that did the Capitol were a lot better at it.
well, I don't know. You see the pictures of them burning down buildings, and they were pretty good at burning buildings. But
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Antifa set things on fire, like, which is not funny, but like, this is the thing: is even though it's illegal, even though it's a destruction of someone else's property in a way, like breaking into a government building, shitting on a desk, and then leaving is such a fucking Chad move. I'm sorry, I love that. That's funny as fuck.
So Seth Rogan got in your DMs just to have a go at you about that. Well, when you opened up Twitter and saw that Seth Rogan had DM'd you, what did you think?
I just thought, like, this is the thing, is he's a guy that I used to really like. I've got many fun memories. He's like sitting in my friend's flat while we're watching like Seth Rogen movies while we're all getting like high and everything like that as well. That's what I was. I was a little weed smoking skateboarder like type guy, like that listened to like metal music and stuff. That's who I was. And so we loved Seth Rogen and we enjoyed his stuff. And like, it's absolutely fine for him to have the opinions that he does, but all I did was just correct him. I said he said that the Capitol was a fascist takeover. I was like, it wasn't. And then he DM'd me, and it was like, I'm not going to reply to you publicly because I don't want to give you any attention, even though he was in my DMs giving me attention.
Yeah,
I never even saw attention. Like, it's Seth Rogen. He's got like nearly 9 million followers on Twitter. He's a Hollywood A-lister. Like, I replied to his tweet, and I was like, there was no way he was going to reply to me, right? There was no way he was going to respond. But then, motherfucker actually comes directly into my DMs, and he did the whole "Who are you? Who are you?" like sort of thing, and I just explained who I was, and I went, you know what? I'm going to be nice because I've got a lot of respect for this guy. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be kind to him and stuff. And I went, I just think you're wrong about this. Here are all my reasons why. And even though I said I just want to have a nice conversation, like, I wasn't mean to him. I didn't call him names. I didn't do any of that. He just turns around and starts calling me stupid. He's just sitting there, well, you're stupid. You obviously have no basis in reality and all this stuff. And I tried a little bit longer to just be nice. But then he went down the route of ad homs, and you know, whenever you go down the route of ad homs, that's when you're entering into my world, right? So he started trying to insult my comedy, insult my career, and all that stuff. And then I said, "Oh well, maybe I can be on your level one day by making all of my jokes, dude, weed lamau." and he fucking lost it after that part. He couldn't handle it, and I think the reason is he's a Hollywood A-lister, and he's used to just everyone sucking his dick all the time.
Yeah.
Except when he slid into my DMs, I was like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're a fucking arsehole.
You got to think to yourself, like, you're a Hollywood A-lister. You're on the front of GQ now. Like, yeah, your movies haven't really been great for a few years, but like, does he really have that amount of free time that he sees one verified comment reply to what he's doing, and he just thinks to himself, okay, I'm going to have a political debate with a stranger on the internet just because, well, are you verified? I assume you are verified.
Yeah, I'm verified. And it's just the thing, it wasn't even a political debate. Like, see to absolutely every fact and everything that I put in front of him, like, his response was just to call me stupid. He wasn't interested in having a conversation. That means that the opinions that he holds they're not reasoned opinions. Like, if I presented evidence like to counter your opinion, then he could easily just present counter evidence back. Instead, he just did this elitist, narcissistic like thing. You know, like the stereotypes you get in movies where you get the actor that's all nice when the camera's running, but then as soon as you hear the director say cut, they pull out a cigarette and start shouting abuse at their like aide or whatever like that. And like that's what he was being like. He had this whole air of, well, I'm Seth Rogan, so if you disagree with me, you must be stupid. Because that was all he had. He just kept calling me stupid. And then he started like insulting my comedy and insulting my career. And then he tried to act like he is the arbiter of what is and is not funny. Like he turned around and said, that's not funny, that's not comedy. But you would think, you know, that one of the most well-known comedy actors would know that comedy is subjective. Like,
yeah, and you'd think he'd be aware that he made Sausage Party, right?
Oh, I did bring that up as well. I says like, if you're not wanting to make fun of my comedy when you're the guy that made Sausage Party, and he'd get fucking angry about that as well. And I went, which had Holocaust jokes in it, by the way. So that's another reason why you can't have a go at me. And he said something like, what else was it? He said, he went, you made an offensive joke that pissed people off, and I went, you made a movie that offended an entire country and could have possibly caused a war. And oh man, like I just upset people. I went, you nearly caused like a global incident like that. And I was like, so don't have a fucking go at me. But yeah, he's just, you know what it is, like Hollywood fame, being a millionaire, mansions and all that stuff. He's completely detached from, you know, what actually goes on in the real world. He only sees everything from his wee bubble.
So do you think if Knocked Up came on the TV, you'll be able to sit and watch it now?
Oh yeah, I'll sit and watch it. I really don't mind that at all. There's YouTubers that I actually really don't fucking like, and I still watch their content because, you know, separate the art from the artist. Like, say for example, like, you know, just one example, Vati Vidya, he makes Dark Souls content, and I actually shouted him out not that long ago, and he just out of nowhere blocked me for absolutely no reason. But you know, no biggie. I'll still watch his content. I'll just put ad block on when I do
it. Okay, so yeah, I guess getting a little bit more political now.
Always does with me.
Yeah, it kind of had to happen. Usually in these series, I ask the YouTubers the same questions to see what everyone's opinion is.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense to do for you. You've got a little bit more of an interesting life. So your experience with cancel culture was kind of the opposite of what usually happens. Cancel culture usually works. The internet decides they don't like you. They go out for you. They get that. Your experience with cancel culture came through mainstream media and the government. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, it came from the media. It came from the government. It also came from basically like left-wing groups as well. It came for them too. And there are certain instances where cancel culture does work and doesn't work. So, for example, and it also depends on what it is you're being cancelled for. So, for example, if you're left-wing and you say, you know, fuck white people or something like that, then what will happen is, people will try and cancel you with your university and employers, not usually successful. Universities love that stuff. But then, like, you'll be cancelled. You might lose your job or something like that. But that's cancel culture and towards the left wing. Then you get the right wing. It might be like a spicy joke that they made in the past or whatever. But the thing with it is, as well, is see if you already have somewhat of a platform, right? If you make YouTube content or you make videos or you have a podcast or something like that, you create online content in some way, then what will happen is whenever people try to cancel you, you won't get any left-wing subscribers at all. But what will happen is a lot of right-wing people, to show support, will flood to you and follow you and support you, and they'll subscribe to your channel, your podcast, or whatever. So cancel culture in that case has the opposite effect. But see if you this can also count for left and right wing as well. The exact same thing applies. But also see if you don't make any type of online content at all. Like, all you do is watch online content. You don't actually create it. And you're just, Jim the warehouse guy from Suffolk or something. Like, you've just got a little Twitter account with like 11 followers. You made an edgy joke on Twitter and then someone found the joke, contacted your employer, you're cancelled, etc. Now, you've literally no other way for like the right wing or anybody, or even the left wing, happens in the left to support you. There's no channel they can subscribe to. There's no podcast. But you've lost your job. You've been put in the papers, in the media. Your name's been dragged through the mud. That's it. You have actually been fully cancelled. Like, your life is now fucked, and there's no recourse for you to even try and like gain in some way from your cancelling. And what happens to people like that is they end up joining political groups, which never ever works out well. But the only other time that cancelling ever actually does like successfully truly work is if the thing that the person's being cancelled for is universally accepted on both sides as bad. So, for example, if a guy's in the DMs of an 8-year-old girl, yeah, universally bad, like left and right, that person's fucked. Or if like a video surfaced of them like beating up a homeless guy because they thought it was funny or something, left and right, universally bad, that person's cancelled.
Yeah.
But the problem is with it as well is like they always try and cancel like major right-wing figures, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It basically, everyone just ends up creating alternate platforms, and all the voices will still be here. The only way to truly get rid of right-wing platforms is absolute utter authority, like China-style control of the internet. Like they've got it down when it comes to dissenting voices, and the only way that the right wing will go away on the internet is, if they adopt the same thing.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense why it was why you got a lot of support from the internet.
Yeah.
Like you said about people coming in support if it's not universal. Are people done calling you a neo-Nazi yet?
No, it happened just 5 minutes ago, actually.
Yeah. I saw your Twitter. Somebody was having a go at you.
I've had a reward. I decided to do this about like 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? Because everyone keeps going, fascist Nazi, fascist Nazi. He advocates for fascism. He advocates for Nazism. There's literally a cash reward if you can post evidence of me doing that. It's £200, and I say it to them all the time. I'm like, £200 in your PayPal right now if you can post evidence of me saying that. And they never can. It's never been claimed. Like, because the thing is, see if someone did successfully manage to claim it and I didn't pay out, I mean, that would be everywhere. Like, the left wing would be fucking cheering about that for bloody months. But it's never been claimed, and the reason for that is because I've never advocated for any of those things. I don't want those things. Like, I'm in the Libertarian Party. I have libertarian ideals and libertarian values. I want the government to lose about 90% of its power, and then that last 10% gets held the fuck in check by the people through the use of a codified constitution. Literally the opposite of Nazism and fascism.
Yeah.
But like this is the problem, is like these people don't like freedom. That's the main reason for it. They don't like freedom because without basically under freedom, their ideology cannot flourish. It cannot work. Like far left, far right, both of them require absolute government control to make their idea of a utopia happen. That's why neither of them like it. And that's why, like, the left wing predominantly have the biggest voice against it, because they're all throughout media, TV, comedy shows, everywhere. And they're always going against it. And the way they do it is because they can't present any proper arguments against it, because then you're literally arguing against freedom, which is a bad look. So what they do instead is they try and poison the well. They try and convince everybody, don't listen to that guy. He's actually a Nazi, a fascist, and blah, blah, blah. And then they hope that people will listen to them and not listen to the guy who's actually preaching about freedom and individual liberty. The problem is they have done that so much and so often that nobody has any fucking idea who the Nazis or fascists actually are, because the boy has cried wolf far too many times.
And they've done it to the point where all they've managed to do is just create a silent majority against them.
Yes.
And then it comes out when elections take place. I mean, the Brexit Party doing so well in the European debates, and then the Tories getting in this time. I mean, how is it possible to scream fuck Boris so much and then get a huge Boris majority? Well, it's because you're telling everyone you don't like to kill yourself.
Well, that was the thing as well, is it's basically like Labour themselves. Like, Brexit was a working class vote. It was a working class vote for working class people. And then Labour were coming out with, like, even like some of their MPs were just coming out with the wokest, stupidest takes, white privilege, patriarchy, and all this stuff. Like, you're not going to get anywhere telling your voters that they're fucking shitheads. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get anywhere by like demonizing like a huge portion of your voter base. And that's what ended up happening. Labour in the last election got absolutely annihilated, because who wants a government that's going to bring in, like, they've promised like authoritarian control of the internet, authoritarian control of speech, while at this, I mean, see if there's a government see if there's a political party that says, when we get in, we are going to do bad things to people that we deem to be bad people. And then this same party has been spending the last few years telling you you're a bad person. Mm-hmm. You're not going to vote for them. And that's why Labour get absolutely annihilated in the last election, because they deserved it. They deserved it. Now, one thing is, I'm not happy about the Tories beating in either, because the Tories are fucking shit. They're inept. They've no idea what I mean, they've been in government for so fucking long and yet still have no idea what the fuck they're doing. I mean, that's why it's definitely time for a change. Like, I don't want us falling towards the two-party binary that they've got in America, where they've got the red team, blue team type thing that they encourage, because it's better for everybody to be fighting each other instead of realizing that it's the government that's the fucking problem. So I think there should be a wide range and array of political parties, you know, present in Westminster.
Well, if you can keep the two parties, if you can keep the people fighting each other, you can keep news stories happening, and you can keep the money rolling in. I mean, that's the thing. The people that are so far left wing are just as stupid as people that are so far right wing. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's just either or, you know, just any part of the spectrum that wants like authoritarian control, I don't fuck with. I don't want anything to do with that. They're both wrong. They're both horrendously fucking wrong. Because one thing that I've noticed among like far left and far right is whenever they advocate for, you know, the club, they always think that they'll be the one wielding it. Oh, it's fine. I'll be the one wearing the boots. It's like, no, you won't. No, you won't.
It's like that football mindset when people walk out of a football stadium and they say, we won 3-0. It's the exact same thing. Like, people believe that they have any control, and all the people that want Labour in, when Labour ever come in, I think they'll then soon realise, actually, you don't have as much control as you think you do. The same way that the people that are blindly following the Tories at the moment and think they're doing a good job just because it's their party, you're not making a difference to what the Tories are doing.
I mean, Labour performed so badly that the Tories won with Boris.
Yeah.
that's how bad they were doing.
The Labour lost so badly that the Tories managed to go through 3 different prime ministers in the stage of a year and a half, and people still voted them in. Like,
yes,
it's anyway. So you were heavily censored by the government. Have you found censorship online from big tech, Twitter, YouTube, stuff like that?
Yes, all the time. And the problem with it is it's partly feeds into the Nazi fascist like type thing. See, because the well's been poisoned that much, you're getting people who are just basic bitch conservatives or Republicans getting censored. Like it happened to like Gavin McGuinness now. I'll admit that Gavin's gone right off the fucking deep end recently, right? But at the time that he was censored, he wasn't that bad, but I don't know what the fuck is going on with him. But you're getting little minor people that they just want to talk about issues like immigration and culture and stuff like that. These people aren't right wing, aren't right wing. Sorry, they aren't alt right. They're not ethno nationalists. They're just basic bitch conservatives. You know, like you got back in the 80s and 90s. But even they are being censored. And this is the thing: is it doesn't actually happen as often on the left. People keep trying to like Hunter Avalon is one who said there's no conspiracy to censor the right, even though Project Veritas literally has Silicon Valley employees at Facebook, fucking Twitter, Google saying, oh yeah, we do that. We do in fact do that. We have algorithms to flag right-wing content and censor right-wing people. And people still say, oh, it's not a thing, it's not happening, even though it's been proven that it is happening. But you're getting like left-wingers that are tweeting out things like fuck white people, like check your white privilege. And that's like, I love the white privilege debate because they're like, oh, it's white people secretly control everything and they all have their own little club and they only look out for white people. And I'm like, just change the word white people with the word Jew and what do you sound like? Like it does my head in. It's the fact is like some of the most racist people that I've ever come across have been far lefties, right? Far right and far left are indistinguishable from each other when it comes to race. They won't shut up about race. They talk about it constantly, right? And that actually helps the far right. Do you know that Richard Spencer, basically the sort of de facto leader of the alt-right in America, he voted for Joe Biden. And the reason he said that he voted for Joe Biden was because the Democrats and the far lefties all around them do not shut the hell up about race. They talk about it constantly. They center everything around it. And that is what the alt-right wants. They don't want the conversation about race to go away. They want it to be at the forefront of everything. And most importantly, they want the conversation to cause problems. And it is like, it's the thing is about race. I don't care. Just shut the fuck up about it. Morgan Freeman put it the best way. You want everyone to stop talking about race or thinking in racial terms, then just stop talking about it.
I think these people don't realize that they're probably doing as much damage for race as well, maybe not as much damage, but there was I think it was 50 Cent's ex-wife. She came out and said, "How could you vote for Donald Trump? You're black." And it's like, you're not realizing you are telling a black man what he should do. Black people can make their own decision. Anyone can make their own decision. Like as soon as you start telling people what they can and can't do. But
I hate this. I hate this. I honestly really hate this. Black people are stupid rhetoric. Like, oh, you don't know what you're voting for. Oh, it's like we know what jobs you want. We know what's best for you. How about they fucking decide?
Yeah.
How about they decide? Like they're big boys and big girls. They can make their own fucking decisions. Leave them to make their own fucking decisions. None of this. How could you vote for this? You're black. How could you like him? You're black. Oh, holy shit. It turns out individuals have different opinions that aren't based on race. And I love the idea that simple thing is such a foreign concept to them because they can't consider anything without framing it in racial terms.
Yeah, it seems that they don't understand that it should be equality of opportunity. That's what Jordan Peterson talks about all the time, isn't it? Equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. If we have equality of outcome, then we're forcing people to do stuff that they don't want to do. And especially in America, where it is the land of the free, you can't expect equality of outcome without oppressing people.
Yeah, like that's one of the things as well that I think that would just solve the problem. I think it would solve the problem is no names or country of origin or sexuality on job applications. None of it. It's not relevant. It's not relevant to the job. Like if I'm hiring somebody, like I don't care what their name is, don't care about their gender, I don't care about their sexuality. I care if they do the job. Can you do this job that I'm hiring you for? Will you do it well? What would solve all of the problems is no names, no gender, no sexuality, no race on job applications. Boom, problem solved.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, that would work instead of trying to socially engineer everything, because like equality of outcome, equality of opportunity, I absolutely agree with. I want everyone to have the exact same opportunities as everybody else, right? I mean, if a black man becomes Prime Minister of the UK one day, whatever, he obviously climbed the ladder and he was the right man for the job. He wouldn't be in his position if he wasn't the right man for a job. But the way it comes in now is, see, whenever I see, like, because of this nonsense, whenever I see a black person or anything in like a position of power, there's a little thing in the back of my head that goes, did you actually get that job because you're good at it, or like did you just get it handed to you because they needed to tick a box? That's not a thought that I want to have.
No.
Like, I don't want to think like that. And it's just like, because these fucking idiots won't shut up about racial terms, they're making me think in racial terms.
No.
And,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and again, at the end of the day, that's what the far left and the far right want, to be honest.
So, moving on from race a little bit, you got
do you not want me to start busting out some crime statistics? No, I'm kidding on.
I very much do not. I'm trying to stay.
I'm joking.
Oh, go away, email. So, we'll just get. Oh my god, these emails are just coming in, and my laptop's opening them up.
That's cool.
So we this is ridiculous. Obviously a bunch of Republicans in America have become censored on Twitter. Do you think it's fair to say that the world is becoming a little bit more authoritarian?
Absolutely is. One of the key things that authoritarian regimes have always done since there's been authoritarian regimes is controlling the flow of information. You don't let people listen to any information that is counter to their beliefs. Basically, the key thing to holding on to power is making sure that no one can question why you should have that power. Like, you know, there's lots of people, like, see, for example, in North Korea, like, children are raised, they're taught it in schools that it's just not something you question. It's just, you know, the Kim Jong-un has the power because that is the way it is, and that is the way it always will be. And like that, they teach that, and they teach it in a way that questioning that is just such a foreign concept that your mind doesn't even arrive to that. Your mind doesn't even think about doing such a thing, because it's just so crazy and out there to consider such a thing. And that's why authoritarians want to control the flow of information. They want to control information that can question, you know, the things that they want to put in place, the dominion that they want to have over your lives. And that is the path that we are going down. And everybody rolls their fucking eyes whenever his name gets mentioned, but the man was fucking right. Orwell was fucking right? Authority. The problem is, especially during lockdown, is, well, this was before lockdown, but it's got even worse during lockdown. You know, everyone evolved so that their social life and interactions all took place online, on their phone, on their laptop, on their computer, Facebook, Twitter. Like, you know, it started with MySpace and Bebo and all that, and then it just continued to the point where pretty much everyone is online and socially interacts online. Go on any bus and go on any train. No one, you know, back in the 90s, everyone would be having a little chat with the person next to them. Not now. Every single person is looking down at their phones and talking to people online. That's just the way we evolved. That's just the way things were going. So, but the problem is, online means there's a paper trail. It's something that's controlled by corporations. You know, if you're standing in front of a person, your vocal cords vibrating, can't really be stopped unless they actually send the cops in and deal with you. But online, it's a case of, it's not even just the government that can censor your speech or monitor your speech or surveil you. It's corporations as well, which are not held to the same standards as governments. Corporations are under no obligation whatsoever to protect your rights, defend you, or look out for your best interests. They're not under the same regulations.
What I do think, though, is is there much difference between corporations blocking people and telling a narrative as if they are now, to how the newspapers did it in the early 2000s, to when the Daily Mirror had a monopoly and it would tell whatever narrative it wanted to? Is there actually much of a difference, or has it just changed?
Well, the difference is it's not, with newspapers, they dispense information from an establishment itself, like the media itself is an establishment. But Twitter and Facebook, etc., like they go much further than that, as in they allow the everyman to convey information. You know, these are people that, you know, without editors or shareholders or anything like that, they can say what they really think. It allows people to get their voices out there. And the problem is, you know, a lot of media, if you're an established media, you know, place, that you get everywhere. I mean, YouTube will slap you all over the front page and show you everywhere. But if you're the average everyday person that has a few things that they would like to say, you're going to get shut down, especially if, you know, the things that you have to say go against, you know, the current status quo. And I think that the thing is, as well, is when it comes to the actual problem is, you know, should private corporations be allowed to do this? Now, what is the point of speech? What is the purpose of it?
I don't know. What is the purpose of speech? You tell me.
It's to impart and communicate information, right? That's the point. That's the purpose of speech. So I believe that if you damage, infringe, or restrict a person's ability to communicate and impart information, you are violating their speech rights. So just in the same way that companies aren't allowed to steal from you and they aren't allowed to assault you because that's a violation of your rights, companies also should not be allowed to restrict your ability to freedom of speech. If there's some cases where it comes to, everyone says, oh, what about illegal speech? Well, that depends on the country you're in. For example, in Saudi Arabia, pro-LGBT activism is illegal. You're not allowed. Same in Russia. You're not allowed to do it there. You'll get arrested for it. So in that case, basically, well, what about legal and illegal speech? Well, it depends on what's legal and illegal. I think if there's speech that doesn't infringe on any rights or would actually create what's called imminent lawless action based on the Brandenburg test, then that speech should be allowed. But the problem is, like, this isn't a case of government censoring things based on criminal action. This is large corporations who control, like, the vast majority of information and discourse on the online English-speaking world, banning people and censoring them, not for illegal speech, but for speech that goes against their political ideology. And that's very, very different. Basically, this is the thing is, see if all of the social media companies were overwhelmingly right wing and were banning and getting rid of left wing accounts, the left wing would be making the exact same arguments as we are now, and they actually have in the past. You know, see throughout the 60s, 80s, and stuff like that. Everything was all right wing TV, right wing newspapers. You know, left wingers were not allowed on TV, not allowed this, not allowed that. And they complained about that and says the media and this and that and, you know, communication and discourse is being dominated by the right wing. And then slower and slower and slower over time is when the left wing came in and everything was fine. Everything was all right. We had a nice 50-50 balance. But now, you know, the pendulum is shifting and they're trying to push the right wing out.
That's what the 60s was, wasn't it? It was
left wing comedians got cancelled for swearing, for saying shit on stage and all that, like, not absolute nonsense stuff. But it happened all the time. Like, they've experienced it themselves in the past, but now it's a case of, and this is the thing is if you've got, like, all of these social media companies are left wing, they're overwhelmingly left wing, and they employ people from California, Silicon Valley, San Francisco. It's an overwhelmingly, like, left wing area. And because all these companies control so much of the discourse online, slowly but surely over time, that is going to sway everyone's opinion in regards to it. But this is the thing is, I don't want people to make a decision just because some great big fucking corporation is based on the information that this corporation decided that they were allowed to see. Like, I want people to have access to all of the facts, all of the information, and they can make an informed decision themselves. I don't like this nannying, fucking elitist, hypocritical, like, fucking high horse bullshit of, oh no, my dear pleb, you are not smart enough to make such decisions. Here, let me help. Go fuck yourself, honestly.
Do you remember when years ago they were saying that they were going to like fact check like Onion articles to say if it was like satirical, and everyone was like, that's not going to happen, and now everything's fact checked. Okay, can we talk about your Ukip days a little bit?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Okay. Let me find my questions because I want to make sure that okay, right. So you joined Ukip to try and push forward the free speech message. That was the main part, right?
Yeah.
So in 2021, do you still feel like there is any hope in actually achieving any kind of forward thinking on free speech?
There is starting to be a wave of it across the country. Now, the thing with it is, like most things, people don't realize how bad a problem is until it starts to affect them personally. And I was the same. I didn't realize how bad freedom of speech was in the UK until I was arrested. But I went through a lot of political activism from my teens right up to my mid-20s. But then I sort of just mentally checked out of politics for about 4 years. And then I did the Nazi pug thing. And then, that got dragged straight back into the political sphere. And I think that a lot of younger people are starting to realize that, freedom is nice, freedom of expression, freedom of creativity, art, movies, music, like all of those things are wonderful if you allow people to create the type of content or material or poetry, fucking anything. Just let people like create what they want. Let artistic expression flow. It might be offensive, it might be funny, it might be sad, it might whatever, just let them do it. Because the problem that you have with it is, see if right, you've worked in a dead end job before. We all have, right? A job that you absolutely fucking hated, right? I've been in so many jobs where I didn't give a single fucking shit about what I was doing. I didn't care. I've worked for Asda and Tesco and all these places. I didn't give a fuck about those places. I don't care. But the problem is if you go through that over enough time, you start to become miserable, you start to become depressed, you start to struggle with your identity, where's my life going, etc. But one way to combat this is to create something that is 100% yours. Like I said, this could be a song, it could be a painting, it could be absolutely anything, it could be a YouTube video, but you are creating an extension of yourself, something that is you, and you're putting it out into the real world. That gives you purpose. It's something you enjoy, it's something you like. You can see yourself reflected and represented in the tangible world. I mean, that's what Russell Bertrand spoke about in Authority and the Individual. And that is what people need. People require some kind of purpose. And that a lot of people are starting to understand that as well. Basically, jobs are getting worse, wages are getting worse, speech is getting worse, to the point where people aren't able to properly express themselves and they just feel absolutely fucking miserable. And basically, I am exploiting that to basically tell everyone things are shit, aren't they? But they don't need to be that way. Vote for the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, fair enough. So keeping on sort of that UKIP, that UKIP vibe, that wavy UKIP vibe that they give off.
Yeah.
So, did you unjustly, by the sounds of things, got blamed by people on the internet for the downfall, which is obviously ridiculous.
That's not what happened.
We know that's not true. But what I was interested about when I was doing my research, how much power did you hold when you in your time in UKIP?
None.
You had no influence other than you just joined and they wanted, and it was good to have a YouTuber on their side.
No, it was basically like I helped out a little bit with the free speech section of the manifesto. Helped out a little bit with that, but apart from that, I never held any official position or anything. I wasn't in charge of anyone. I wasn't in charge of anything. Essentially, I was like an advisor. I mean, I was still a full party member, but I was an advisor. They then asked if I wanted to run in the MEP election, but they put me fourth in the list, which meant that for me to win, like 80% of Scotland would have to vote for Ukip because that was going to fucking happen. Like, so yeah, I didn't actually have any power or anything in the party. And as for, you know, Sargon and Dankula, or why Ukip crashed, people still say that to this day. The real reason it crashed, like Farage leaving, that's why. And like basically Farage and Batten have had a personal rivalry with each other for like the last 20 years.
Yeah,
it's been going on for a long time. And basically, and the problem is Farage is Mr. Brexit. He is Captain Brexit man with his British flag for a cape, you know, and spandex Union Jack tights and stuff like that. Like, and so when he left, like everyone that was, you know, Brexiteers all like left with him. They were like, oh well, he's Mr. Brexit. We want Brexit. We're going to go where Brexit man is. That's what fucking flattened the party.
Well, we're gonna get onto Farage in just 1 second, because there's been an announcement with Farage. I'm sure you've seen. But moving on from that, so you left in 2019 because of this whole what you call the Game of Thrones style. When you look back on the time that you were part of the UKIP party, do you regret being part of it because of the public image it has around most people, whether that's true or whether it's not? What do you think about your time that you were in that party?
No, I don't regret it. I don't regret it, and I would do it again. Basically, it was a megaphone for me to get more free speech activism out there, and it's just one way to draw people's attention is controversy. Controversy works. You know, I'll say something outrageous, and then people will go, "Oh, what's all this about?" Click the link, and then they look at me, and then I'm like, "Yeah, I said it. By the way, free speech." Like that, and it's good to get more people like on board. You know, there are certain people that just absolutely believe everything that the media spoon feeds them. Like, you know, the more people we can get out of that, the better. But as for like my time in UKIP and the activism that I did when I was in there, no, I don't regret it. I mean, people use it as like a weapon to like bash me with, and they go, "Oh, they were a fascist party, they were a far right party. You're fascist and far right. Then why didn't I join the BNP?"
Exactly.
Like the actual far right party. Like why did I join UKIP instead of the BNP then? But yeah, I don't regret it. No, I would do it again because it was fun pissing everybody off as well.
Looking at UKIP now, do you think it's? I mean, from where I'm sitting, it seems to, as it's lost its relevancy and its grip on any kind of input into the communities, it seems, I personally believe that it's becoming more and more of what people say it was. I don't think it was as bad, but it seems to, as it's lost its relevancy, it seems to become more toxic. Would you agree?
I don't know if it's like become like more racist or anything like that, or like, but when I was in UKIP, like there was Muslim members and everybody in UKIP, which is why like when I joined, I was kind of like, oh, holy shit, what am I in for? But then when I joined, it was nothing like that at all. I even had one old schooler going like that. Like, see, he was very much, you know, the British Empire type guy, and he literally was like that. Indian people are British, and I was like, all right, okay, like okay then, like that's fine.
You can say so, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I wasn't doubting that, but sure.
I would maybe ask them first, but you know, like whatever.
I'm pretty sure if you went to India and you said that to an Indian person, they'd disagree. But yeah.
apparently, there's a movement in India where they want to become part of the UK again. I don't know if it's a big movement or anything. I just know it exists. But like, as far as like UKIP, when it came to toxicity, like when I was in UKIP itself, I sort of realised that how politics works, because this wasn't. Because I found out that this isn't the case in UKIP. This is the case in any political party that you join. Everything is very high school.
No,
it's
really?
very high school. Like some person shaking your hand one minute and then talking behind your back, and then you find out that someone like, oh, Stacey said that you said this about me. I never said that about you. It's stuff like that. It's just, and it was that, but apparently that's just basic politics. That's just the way it goes. But after, you know, the Batten and Richard Brain like thing, like the place became hyper toxic. Just everybody was just looking for a reason to kick everybody out. And it was just Game of Thrones. Like everyone, the way everyone was acting, it completely stopped being about the party and about everyone all at once wanting to sit in the big chair.
Yeah,
that's all it was. And basically, like, see that, like Farage leaving dealt the killing blow, but everybody like fighting and stabbing each other in the back and getting each other kicked out. They're just the maggots eating away at its corpse.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Red Wedding after he left. Yeah,
fucking yeah, it was. Like I was getting messages all the time, like, yeah, I've just been kicked out. Yeah, I've just been kicked out. Why were you kicked out? Oh, it's because I spoke against this person, and this person managed to get me kicked out. And it was just constant. It was just all the fucking time and all that. And yeah, and that's why a lot of them ended up during that time jumped ship to go join the Brexit party. Well, I think they're called Reform UK now. I'm not sure.
You look at the news and they make it out like it's so deep that these people got kicked out. And it's happening for this deep political reason, but it probably just is this person didn't like this person and this person wanted to get in. And
that literally is what it is. It was just old rivalries just all came to a head.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, say, like Game of Thrones, where there was a very, very uneasy peace for like a very, very long time. But then Robert Baratheon died and everyone started killing each other. Like that's literally what it was.
Barrage was Rob. That's crazy. So the Brexit party is no more. A goodbye Brexit party. That's done. Have you seen the announcement?
What was it? Is it Reform UK?
Yeah. But did you see the speech that Farage gave on it?
No, I actually haven't.
So supposedly the main focus of this Reform party is Scotland. And
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for this speech that he gave out today, can't for the life of me remember what the minister is, but it was a Scottish minister, and they want to be an opposition to the SNP so that there isn't another referendum about leaving, and they can leave the EU. They can carry on leaving the EU. Is that something that would interest you? A party that goes against the SNP, led by Farage? He did a good job getting us out of the EU during the European elections.
It did, but it is, if that's the case, then it's another single issue party. And I'll admit, like, obviously, you know, Farage he's big man Brexit and everything. He's got all the clout. Everybody knows his face. But I don't want to be in another like single issue party. Like UKIP was, like, they were a single issue party for the longest time, but they did have other things in there. But I want to be a party that's more widespread. I don't want to just counteract the SNP. I want to counteract the SNP, but also at the same time instill libertarian values, individual liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, pro gay marriage, like all those wonderful, lovely things. I want to be in a party that has a wide range of things it wants to do.
Is this at a time when the SNP holds so much power in Scotland? Would it not make sense that when the next general elections come round to vote for the Reform Party as a single issue party to send a message like they did in the European elections? It sent a message to government to say we still want Brexit, but didn't win the general elections. Would it not make sense for the Scottish people to vote for them just to send a message?
Maybe it would. I just don't think it's a good solution, like, in the long run. Because I mean, what are we going to do? Just vote for the Reform Party forever, just to mess with the SNP, when instead we could replace the SNP's power in Scotland with a party that actually gives a shit about human rights. And that's what I'm hoping to do, because like the Libertarian Party I'm in is a pro-independence party, as in a pro, like, actual independence party. Like no, so that means no Westminster, but also no EU. So basically, you could say that we're Scotland's only independence party, and that's what we're hoping to do as well. We're hoping to, like, the SNP have become authoritarian fuckwads with a new hate crime bill where you could be sent to jail for 7 years just for having an offensive meme on your phone, not sending it to anyone, not printing it out and posting it somewhere, just for possessing this meme. You could go to jail for 7 years, and it's just like, so stuff like that. Like, it's not enough just to, you know, harass the SNP by taking seats. We need them completely out of power. And I'm hoping.
Could you ever even imagine the SNP now? They're so prevalent in Scotland. Could you ever imagine them actually losing any power anytime soon?
I think what's really one thing that would definitely make the SNP lose power is if Scotland actually got its independence. Because what would happen after that point is the SNP, they're completely on their own. It's Scotland's money, Scotland's resources, Scotland's legislation, all that stuff. And what that basically means is any time there is a fuck up, then Nicola Sturgeon doesn't have Westminster to blame, doesn't have anybody else to blame. All the blame will fall on the SNP. And that's when everybody will realise that they are just dog shit, atrocious leaders, and they've got no business in government at all. So I think that is, because one thing that I'm noticing as well, especially among SNP voters, because all of my SNP voter friends, they're all reconsidering it. And the thing that made them reconsider it is the hate crime bill. Because, yeah, we'll be an independent country, but we'll be an independent country ruled by an iron fist. So I had, like, that's, you know, that was like what happened with North Korea. Oh, North Korea's established. Yay, happy, good fun times. Yeah, well, you're in for 70 years of fucking misery. So
do Scottish people even know about this crime bill? I mean, obviously, I don't live in Scotland, so I don't know how prevalent it is. But surely people know about it because of you, because you're friends with them.
I've helped get the
show know?
Yeah, because a lot of newspapers are coming out against it. The people that have actually came out against it has been like the Journalists Guild, the acting like guilds, like Society or whatever it is. There's been several like universities, researchers and stuff like that, because some of these researchers, you know, they research things about like gender and race and stuff like that, and they say, well, if we print our findings, are we going to get arrested? And then the one that blew my mind the most, the Law Society itself condemned the bill, and the number one, which blew my fucking mind, the police themselves condemned this bill. Now, if you can get the police to condemn a new law, then you have fucked up. Obviously,
it's a waste of time for the police, right? Because then they have the police memes, and what a waste of time that is.
Well, that's the thing as well, is with the police, is they don't like the fact that, because I know a few police officers, and the thing that they say is, this law will involve me violating people's rights, and I don't want to do that. And he says, what happens, you know? He goes, what am I going to say like 20 years down the line when I've arrested people and put them in jail for having memes and tweets and jokes and stuff like that? He says, I don't want to, the thing that he said actually kind of hit me a bit. He says, I don't want to ever in my life have to say I was just following orders. That which was funny, but at the same time it scared the shit out of me. But it's good that there's police that think like that. Like, they know that it's bullshit and they don't want to do it.
Yeah, especially in a time when the police are probably at their least popular at the moment. I don't know what it's like in Scotland, but at the time where it's their least popular, they don't want to be enforcing bullshit rules. So I've got a couple more questions for you, 2 more, and then I'll let you get back on your way. They're sort of about YouTube, so we can sort of move away from the politics a little bit. Take a little deep breath.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
So you are a relatively edgy content creator. Do you think it's still possible for edgy content creators to thrive? And looking forward, do you think it's possible to thrive? I mean, there's been conversations with Susan, whatever her name is, about with penguins about trying to make things a little bit more fair for people. But do you think it's still possible for edgy content to be created in the modern society?
No, not on YouTube, at least. Definitely not. YouTube have been steadily and slowly tightening the noose on that for a very, very long time. Like one of the recent things that happened to me, luckily for me, I've got a contact at YouTube. Otherwise, I would have been completely fucked. It was an old video of mine where I made a fake advert pretending that I was a travel agency for the Islamic State.
Yeah,
this was back when ISIS were in like full swing, and
what a throwback that was.
yeah. But that's the thing is, I was obviously like I was saying, come and enjoy the nightlife, and then I was showing like bullets flying like through night vision goggles and all this stuff, like, and it was a blatant and clear joke. And then I got dinged for it on YouTube. The video got removed. I got a strike, and they also took me out of the partnership program, which means I would earn zero money on YouTube. And the reason that they cited was I was endorsing and glorifying terrorism. And
You just got to stop doing that.
I know, man.
That's what you get for endorsing terrorism.
No, I love my Islamic extremists, me. That's what I do. I mean, it made me very unpopular in Ukip, but I just love my Islamic extremists. But yeah, but that's the thing. It's like the thing is, there's some content that you can make, but like you're not going to get monetized. So see, as for doing YouTube as a job, as a career, or anything like edgy content, absolutely not. I mean, you can still post it and just hope that the system doesn't catch you, right? But the safest thing to do is just not be edgy at all. Like, say for example, Filthy Frank, loads of people have said this about him. He got out of YouTube at the exact right time.
Yeah,
he got out of there at the exact right
time.
I mean,
look at how iDubbbz has died since then.
iDubbbz has completely died.
Bless him.
His content's absolutely nothing like the way it used to be.
And his fans were whack as well. They held him to some form of esteem that just shouldn't have existed. When his girlfriend came out that she was doing OnlyFans, it was the biggest thing in the world to them. And it was like, look, he hasn't made engaging content in years. What does it matter if his girlfriend wants to put some vagina on the internet?
He actually unfollowed me because of that.
Really?
Like, I made a video sort of half defending it, just sort of saying like, look, it's not so. I wouldn't allow my wife to make her OnlyFans. Like, but I mean, if it's something he wants to do, it's something he wants to do. And I went, and then I think at the end of the video, I said something like, I mean, I'm not fucking her. I don't care. And then like, I think like later on that day, iDubbbz unfollowed me.
He was probably just disappointed because he found out that you weren't fucking up, and he.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he wanted me to cuck him.
My girlfriends. I guess there's sort of like two alternatives you can do, right? If you want to carry on making edgy content. When I was telling my editor about you, I kind of had to be like, look, he's a bit controversial, but I don't think any of the videos you've ever made are any more controversial than anything South Park has ever said, anything that Family Guy's ever done. So they still have a home on TV, but TV's dying. So that's the thing. The other thing is there's a YouTube. I try to watch like right-wing stuff and left-wing stuff. There's a right-wing YouTuber I watch called Fleckus Talks. And he's just moved a lot of his content onto alternative websites. Would you ever just think, just fuck it, I'm just going to move to a new site?
Well, that's the thing is, it's not the problem is YouTube is my full-time job, and because of what the media and the cops did to me, I'm probably never going to be able to get like a normal, regular job ever again.
Sure.
Right. So I need to stay on YouTube, and the reason that I need to stay on YouTube is because they are the dominant market. They are the dominant market. Like, the competitors right now do not have the same social reach as YouTube. Like, see for example, it's like I said this actually just the other day. They are like Coca-Cola. Like, their brand name is a household name, YouTube, and like and it's lost my train of thought. It's a case of the YouTube aren't just significant in the market, but also culturally. Like, see if you go up to anyone in the street and go, "What's that video website?"
Yeah.
No one's going to say BitChute or Vimeo. Like everyone's going to say YouTube, and that's the problem. But the problem with that is Silicon Valley have geared things up so that they will keep that monopoly. Whenever any type of competitor tries to come up against them, they'll just go, "Oh, they're a far right website," blah, 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 and then. But the one thing that annoys me about that is it takes an insane amount of tools and algorithms, especially algorithms, to identify content that is hateful, etc., for them to remove. Now, Google and Amazon and all that stuff are like, "Oh, we're banning Parler because they haven't moderated their content for X, Y, Z." Well, in order to do that, you need algorithms, and see, for algorithms like that, Google owns all of the patents.
Yeah.
Which means you either need to pay Google for them or you need to build your own from the ground up, which is a monumental task.
It's crazy how people can just have that monopoly over things. I mean, people complain about billionaires, and I don't think billionaires are the problems. I think big conglomerates like these that just hold a monopoly over everyone. I mean, the government makes a lot of the decisions, but I mean, our day-to-day life, like you were saying earlier, is decided by a select few.
Yeah, like even the mood that you're going to be in that day is decided by social. And that's the thing that was terrifying is Facebook actually admitted that they tried this. They tried to influence people's opinions, emotions, and stuff like that. We just did it as an experiment.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just an experiment. And they've been doing it for ages. Like, they make sure that only this is one thing that they said as well, which I honestly have never experienced, was this the far right pipeline that YouTube recommended videos. Right now, I'm right wing. I watch a lot of right wing content. I enjoy a good conspiracy theory.
Yep.
I watch stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
I think I've maybe once had an actual like far right video in my recommended. So I'm like, so that just makes me go, what the fuck are you watching? I think what's happened is you've created a brand new YouTube account, which is still building a profile on you. You immediately search for right wing content, and it brought up the far right stuff right away because that's the only thing that this algorithm knows about you.
Yeah. What they've done is they've started a new YouTube channel. Typed in 9/11 was an inside job. The Holocaust never happened.
Yes, that's exactly.
And then surprised when they got similar videos.
Yeah, basically they typed in like maybe two things that were far right. So these were the only two things that the algorithm had to define this person by, and then the algorithm doesn't know. So it's like, okay, I will only show this content, and then these journalists were like, look at all the far right pipeline, and YouTube's radicalizing our kids.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Like I said, I watch right wing and conspiracy shit all the time. I've never had a far right video in my recommended. Like last night, I actually got an orchestral cover of Gangsta's Paradise in my recommended, and it absolutely fucking slaps.
Yeah.
Right, so like, I don't know what the fuck these people have done.
Have you seen that video that's been going through the recommended of like a rap song about Jesus from the 30s?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. I chuck it on like every other day. It's these four guys, and they're in like a bebop group, and it's in the 30s, and he's just spitting bars about how he loves Jesus. It's just so wholesome. But anyway, right, I'll get to the final question, and then I'll let you get back to your day-to-day life. So the infamous video was what you got known for. Yeah. Now, would you say that you have? I mean, like when Seth Rogan asked you, "Who are you?" You brought up the video, but would you say that you've managed to relatively distance yourself from that in the YouTube community? Are you finding people coming in to watch your videos that have never heard of the infamous Count Dankula?
Well, so on the internet, like everybody knows how memes work. They come out, they're funny and popular for like a couple of weeks, and then they die. That's just the way it goes. It's just that the average person that's not very internet savvy, like if I bump into them in the street, everyone's like, "Oh, Nazi pugger," like, because it's all they know. They're not on the internet. They don't know the culture. They don't know the humor. They don't know anything that I've done since then.
Yeah.
But like in the actual YouTube community, it's a dead meme. Even though I made the video and everything, it was a meme like any other memes. It was funny for 2 weeks and then it died. Like that, it stopped being funny. But you know, the media, the courts, and far lefties like to keep it alive. And, you know, it's a case of imagine having Ugandan knuckles brought up to you like every day by people that don't like you.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like when Hillary Clinton said that Pepe was a right-wing hate figure, and it's like, sorry, but Pepe, what the fuck is a Pepe anymore? Like, it had been years even at that point since anyone had brought it up.
I know
sorry,
I was just saying that made Pepe explode. That made merch come out and everything.
And I tell you what, I did notice then people using Pepe as a far right, exactly like you said on a podcast I saw the other day. If you start pushing an agenda, people get hold of it because it's what they already agree with. So you're not influencing people by posting right-wing stuff. They already agree with that and they're out looking for it. So they take it and they run with it.
Yes, the Streisand effect's a very real thing.
the Streisand.
Yeah, the Streisand effect. It was basically like when Google Earth was first doing its thing and taking satellite images of the entire world. Barbara Streisand found out about it, kicked off, and went, "I don't want my house on Google Earth or Google Street View or Google Maps, blah blah blah." So she basically tried to sue Google into taking her house off of it. The problem is at that point, only 3 people had accessed this particular image, right? One of them was Barbara Streisand. The other 2 were her lawyers. When news of the court case came out, it was hundreds of thousands of people flocked to that image to download it. So that means that, you know, the Streisand effect is when you do your best to take attention, make sure that people can't find something or can't see something, you instead make people flock to it. And again, that's why cancel culture and censorship doesn't fucking work.
Yeah, there you go. Fucking doesn't. I think that'll do for everything. You've given me some great answers.
Good shot.
And a lot to think about. It's been good, man.
Well, good shit.